Hey, what's up everybody? Jake here from Skritter, and in today's video I want to talk a little bit about the company. You've probably all heard of it. In fact, if you're watching on YouTube, you might even be seeing their advertising right now. The company I'm talking about is iTalki. Skritter is an affiliate of iTalki, and actually I am a huge fan, and I've been using iTalki since June 19th. I was looking through my records. I've been doing weekly lessons basically every single Friday with my teacher, and on average, honestly, I'm spending like $120 a month out of my own pocket on these lessons. And so the question that I wanted to pose in this video is it worth it, right? $120 a month on Chinese classes. Is it worth it to use iTalki? So short answer here, if you don't want to watch the entire video, absolutely it's worth it. And honestly, you don't even need to spend $120 a month. That's what I happen to spend. There's fantastic teachers, community teachers, tutors, whatever. Through November 30th, there's actually a kind of Black Friday deal going on iTalki. So if you're new, you can use the affiliate link in the description below. That helps us out a little bit as well. But if you spend $50, you're gonna get $10 extra of credit that you can use. First things first, I just want to acknowledge that this is probably like a big step for a lot of you. If you haven't used iTalki yet, if you're not already on this platform, interacting with real humans in your target language. You can be a little nervous about this. I know I was, which is funny because I've been studying Chinese for like almost 15 years, but like that first day, you always have a little bit of jitters. And I think it's okay, right? Like we've all been there. We've all been beginners at something as well. And starting out is often the hardest part, but I really just think like, do yourself a favor. You're learning a language and there's no pressure to be perfect. We don't want to be perfect. That's why we have teachers. That's why we work with these people. These people are professionals, and honestly, they're probably a little nervous too on the first day of talking with you. So no pressure to be perfect. Definitely like take the dive. You can do 30-minute classes. You can do trial classes with teachers. And so that actually brings me to the first thing that I want to cover here in this video is some things that we can consider when we're finding teachers. In this case here, we're talking about Chinese as a Chinese channel, primarily Japanese as well. So maybe you're looking for a teacher that's from Taiwan, or you're looking for a teacher that's from China, or you're looking for a teacher that's in your time zone because that might make it easier to work with. That's going to be one thing that you have to factor in. The other one is maybe male versus female. And in general, I really don't think that this matters that much personally. I think that it's really important to find a teacher that works well for you. That's the most important factor, right? So if you have a teacher that you're not jiving with, find a new teacher. No big deal. I don't think anyone's going to be offended by this, right? Like you got to do what you need to do. Don't have that pressure of like, well, I have to be with this teacher because of whatever. So trial your teachers. One thing that you do maybe want to take into consideration in the beginning, though, if you're thinking about this male versus female thing, is that your range is going to be a little bit different, right? So if you're a male and you're trying to work on your pronunciation, or a female and you have this male recording this, or male teacher, female teacher, whatever, it may affect your accent. It might affect your pitch range. And so just something to be aware of. But generally speaking, I think find someone that works for you. Community tutor versus a professional tutor. This is basically, I think it comes down to price a little bit. It comes down to teaching style, whatever. I personally opt for a professional teacher, and I have a link in the description below for my teacher, Wei Lao Shi. We're going to see her in a minute. She's amazing. She works for me. It's $30 an hour to have a lesson with her, and I find it incredibly valuable. The next thing to talk about in this video is how's it going for me? So I have been doing, Chinese for a while now. I started, if you want, we can look at the video that I posted, which was about after 8 lessons, where I did some tips and tricks, just kind of press record on my camera and, just bleh. It was this verbal kind of rant that just came out, a little bit of self-reflection. Honestly, the classes gave me the confidence to do that. I find that now I'm reading more, I'm listening more, I'm speaking more, I'm just using more Chinese in general, which I think is fantastic. I'm going to be doing a recap video on what's been happening for me in 2020. That's going to be on the channel later before the end of the year. So we'll get into some of those details a little bit more then. Right now, we're going to cut over to a video that I've recorded on my computer where I talk about kind of my structure, how I organize things for my classes, what it looks like. But I've done 24 lessons so far with my teacher. I've got another one I'm actually late for it right now, recording this right now, which is kind of funny. And we're going to do a little recap after the video as well. But without further ado here, let's go look at the Notion notes, and then we are going to cut to an actual lesson. What it's like for me to be in a class with Wei Lao Shi, what it's like, what the vibe is like, how we chat, whatever. You're just going to get a little taste of what that's like. So if you haven't signed up, consider it. But anyways, enjoy the next part of the video and I'll talk to you in a minute. Peace. So my own personal structure on iTalki, I like to be very organized with myself. I only have a limited amount of time per week that I can spend studying Chinese. I like to keep things nice and structured. So I use Notion. We use it for work as well. It's a fantastic kind of workspace. There's so many different things that you can do with Notion. So I use this to organize many things in my life. And one of those things is my Chinese class. So I have a page on Notion called 中文课. And in here, there's a variety of different things. This is more for my, Chinese in general. So maybe I should rename this, but I have a couple different things. So one of them is I have a 学习目标. And this is something, so it's like a study target, it's my thing. And for me, I use this Kanban board as something that I work on the entire week. And so before the week, come maybe Saturday or Sunday, I'm going to set up my objectives for the week. What would I like to achieve? What am I going to be working on? Right now I'm working on a reading challenge for the Hacking Chinese challenges. And so you can see that these things are in review. So every single day I kind of move them in and I keep them there rather than putting them in like the done column on the far right here, because at the end of the week, I kind of want to look back on what I've achieved. It makes me feel good. It's a process and it sets me up for the next week, right? So right now I have, review iTalki lesson in ready, and that's a placeholder. So when I'm done with my lesson, I'm going to rewatch it. I'm going to listen to it. I'm going to find that vocabulary that was, working for me. I also have this upload words to Skritter. And so this is something that happens kind of behind or after my lessons. I'll take what I learned in class and I will take the stuff that's really important to me and I will upload it into a Skritter deck that I have, which is my 2020 中文课 deck specifically. And so all the vocabulary is sorted by week. It just goes in there, which is super nice. So right now in progress here is the prep iTalki lesson. So today, we're really going to be talking about iTalki and learning and things like that. So that's going to be the primary thing. So this is kind of prep work right now, but that's something that I'm working on. Obviously, once the class starts, then that task is over. But down here, this is my 笔记本. So this is my notebook for the year. And this is something that I absolutely started when I started taking classes with my 老师, with my teacher. And so you can see here that I have due dates for them. So if I wanted to put this into like a calendar view, I could do that. But the default view works pretty well for me. If I want to open a new class for today, so this would be today's iTalki lesson with my teachers. And I don't know what this class is going to be about yet. We'll put the date here as the 20th. And so now if I go back, if I want, I can add a little icon. So today we're going to be doing some recording. So maybe I use a studio microphone here. And so when I come back out now, this is the top thing on my list. I can add a source if I want and have a bunch of different sources. So if I'm studying something from a podcast, a blog, a video, whatever, I try and keep that organized. And for my own personal lessons on iTalki, this is something that I generally dictate with my teacher. I control the course. This is what I want to be studying. It's what I want to be focusing on. So whether that's a blog or a video or something that's in like a textbook or a poem, right? Like there's a bunch of different things here. But if I go back into some of my older lessons here, you can get a sense of like what happens either during the class or after the class. I think one really good one here is this 文章. So this is 学习成功的攻略. And this is actually based on a journal-y entry that I wrote. That was based on the video that I made a couple months ago. So if I click into here, there's my class. So it's an essay that I wrote, and I wrote it, and then I worked with my teacher on this, and we added new kind of vocabulary, and made some notes inside of here. And this is actually a pretty polished piece at this point. Like if we were to read this article now, it's done. It's been checked by a native speaker, so I can go back and reread this if I want. So this was a different one. This was something where I came into class and I had an article that I'd written, and we went over it line by line. I read it out loud with my teacher, and we made corrections. We made it even better than it was before, right? So that's one example of like how I structured my notes. Another good one is this one it's based on an article that was on this website called everylittld.com. And this was about cooking at home and basically going to a more traditional market in Taiwan and buying some food. So you can see here that in these notes, I have the title, and I actually took the article itself and I like brought most of it inside of my notes on Notion. And what that allowed me to do was it allowed me to kind of highlight characters that I was struggling with. So the red ones here are like, these are things that I didn't really know. And so I can reference them again. And so I know that like now 竹笋, for example, is bamboo shoots, or 诀窍 is secrets to success. I learned the word. I knew how to read the word 菜鸟, but I didn't know that it meant newbie. And so, these kind of characters. So for me, I would highlight these in blue. This being, a high frequency word, something I thought was pretty cool, and something that I'd like to use, in my day-to-day life. A lot of little notes in here, a lot of little call outs, all these different kind of sections here. Hey, this is what this is. Here's an idiom, 挥汗如雨, or 此起彼落, 满坑满谷. And like, they're in red here. I didn't know them. And like, are these super important for me to be able to use every single day? Well, maybe. But for me, the important part was just identifying them and knowing that next time I read this, I can reference this, okay? Anyways, the point is, this works for me, right? And if you find something that works for you, use it. But the lesson, the learning, the process, it really shouldn't stop outside of, once iTalki lessons are over. It needs to continue beyond that. We need to, take what we have in the classroom setting. We need to apply this to, our daily process or whatever. So enough about this. This is just kind of the background of what happens when I have my iTalki lessons. And now what we're going to do is we're going to cut to an actual lesson that I'm recording here in a few minutes with my teacher. We're going to be talking about the process. We're going to be talking and reflecting a little bit on my own kind of growth. And we'll select a couple different clips here that we can use that kind of highlight how an iTalki lesson works. And honestly, like where my Chinese has come since I started taking lessons a few months ago. So let's get into it. 通常如果是零起点的学生，你觉得他们应该上到 iTalki 吗？还是你觉得他们应该先就至少比方说用 Duolingo 或是什么的？你觉得你那个是好吗？还是你觉得零起点的学生一句话都不会说还可以？那怎么样？
我觉得零起点的学生也一定要开始，最好啦，不是一定，最好是开始也上1对1的课。因为现在就是有很多啊，在网上啊，有很多这个视频，或是说有很多这个 APP，它会就是帮你，就是说你可以学中文，或是学很多语言，然后呢，它的就比较便宜，那说 Duolingo 是不用钱的嘛，
对，
然后其他的那个东西，有的视频是要钱的，有的是不要钱的，但是呢，有一件事情很重要，尤其是学中文这个。你如果想要说的话，你要说对话或是绘画这种东西，那你的发音就很重要。你刚开始的时候呢，就要有一种知道，就是有人纠正你什么声音是正确，什么声音是不正确。那在这个如果是用视频或是用 APP 的话，就没有办法。
对，因为你没有回馈。
什么样的回馈？
就纠正啊。没有人说你错，
对，这个英文的话，
你发的音啊，你发不好啊，你都不知道。可是如果有老师，那老师就马上告诉你，而且他帮你啊，他说你的嘴巴要怎么样，你要打开一点，你要卷舌什么的都可以。
这个说语文的这种东西啊，是一种身体的东西。假如说你今天只想看、只想读的话，这就是一种脑力的关系。但是如果想听、想说的话，你用的是你的身体。那你就要有一个老师，这个老师呢，要选一个老师，是你觉得你可以亲和平静的这种老师。然后你会看他的这个身体，不是只有用这里的东西，就是不用这里的这个肌肉。这整个身体的肌肉都会用到的，
对。
而且譬如说讲话的时候，这种态度也是一个身体上面的一个肢体语言。
我们会说对肢体语言，没错。还有我们小时候啊，小婴儿啊，小孩子，他们怎么学习语言呢？一样，就是沟通。就是其实首先就是听。多听，那爸爸妈妈或者是谁啊某某人跟他们说话，好几次的重复， 可是呢，都是在对话的那个基础来开始。所以，不管你怎么样，不管你是零起点的学生，还是初级者、中级学习者啊、高级者啊，我们都可以用 iTalki 或者类似的那个课程来提高水平。
对，你刚刚提到了这个小孩子的自然怎么学的，自然的就是模仿，
对，
就是一种模仿。为什么学第一种语言的时候特别容易？因为爸爸妈妈就是送东西给我们吃的人啊，那如果没有他们的话，我们就活不下去了。
衣食父母啊，对吗？
对，是衣食父母。那这个很重要，因为人的这个天性啊，就是要生存。你生存的人呢，那谁给你送东西吃，这是谁最重要的一个人？等于说我们把它当成是就是一个主要的生存的方法。那我们就会想要模仿他的肢体语言啊，说话的东西。但是刚开始的时候，我们是不知道他们说的是什么的。但是我们这是一种就是，
可是我们会有那个安全感。
对，因为是人啊，人与人之间如果要交流的话，就是要 mirroring，就是大家要就是对着镜子看，你看到的人就是你自己的人，
对，
所以你就会想要学他做什么事情，你就会想他说什么你就想说什么，所以刚开始的时候你是不知道你说的是什么的。那就是为什么呢？小孩子啊说脏话的时候不知道脏话的意思是什么。
对对对，而且如果我们没有反应呢，他们可能不会注意到，就是说错了或者睡怪怪的啊。如果我们没有笑或者没有反应，他们应该不会。比方说你说那个我们不要说了吧，因为在录音可是你说那个脏话，如果你没有反应呢，那个小孩很快就不理了，就不管那个词。
对。
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back. So it is an hour after the class. I actually just got done. I'm honestly exporting the class right now up to Dropbox so that we can get this edited out. But that was an actual lesson. That was a 1 hour conversation. Obviously, that was a little different. It was a 55-minute conversation, but it was a little bit different because, I have a background in, I don't know, if you're interested, like drop a comment below. I can talk a little bit more about my own kind of background as an educator because I used to teach Chinese. And so it's interesting for me to talk to other educators about their experiences. But, I've never taught on iTalki as a platform before, and so it's really interesting to get it. But there it is. There's a student's kind of take on this. There's a teacher's take on this. There's, we're looking at a bunch of different perspectives. And I mean, we're doing it all in Chinese, right? So, and I genuinely feel so much more confident in my language and just my speed, the way that I'm thinking about things, the way that I'm processing information after doing this for many lessons. So in the lesson, my teacher actually pointed out to me that the way that like classes are taught or calculated are a little bit different. So it might be, I don't know the actual weeks here, but like June 19th was my first lesson with this teacher. Before that, I had not taken a official Chinese class since 2013. Okay, so it's been a while. I was rusty. There were a lot of cobwebs, and like there still are, and I'm still working on it, and like that's okay, right? But like at least now I'm doing something about it, and I'm doing something about it one day a week, and it's helping a lot. And there's a lot more going on outside of that, and I'm going to talk about that in my recap video for 2020. But for now, thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for, I look forward to the kind of comments or some feedback or, do you agree or disagree with some of the things that we talked about in the lesson? We may clip some of that just to get this out in time because really like we want to talk about the deal. It's a great deal. It's something worth taking advantage of, but like we'll probably do the full length video and we'll do a transcription of everything that's being said and whatever else. That might take a little bit more time, but let me know in the comments below. Do you use iTalki to practice language learning? Do you use maybe another service? Do you like it? Were you nervous in the beginning, right? Just like share your story because that's what this is about, right? It's a very personal experience for everybody. Obviously, it's a personal experience for me. Quick reminder, there is a deal. There's some savings going on right now. You have until November 30th to do that. So if you're watching before November 30th, that link is going to take you to that deal. If you're watching after November 30th, we'll probably replace it with our typical affiliate link, which again, is just helps out the channel. That's all for now. Thank you very much for watching. If you like this kind of content, let me know. Drop a like, drop a subscribe. We're putting out new videos all the time. Check out the apps if you want to. No big deal if you don't. We'll see you in the next one. Peace out, everybody.